I not ban this my house this night, make my family not feel like that. If I not ban this my house,
we talk now, the boy don't die.
So this 17-year-old boy was shot in school, and a few hours after he passed away, something very mysterious happened in the school compound that got a lot of people talking. On the 17th of March 2025, 17-year-old Paul Victor left home for school, but neither he nor his family members knew he wouldn't return home alive. It was a Tuesday morning, and preparations were already in progress for their upcoming inter-house sports competition. Victor, being one of the star players for his house team, had taken up training very seriously, so after their classes that morning, he joined his classmates on the school field for football practice. Everything was going smoothly. The boys were excited, they were sweating, laughing and pushing themselves harder than ever. As the boys were kicking the ball around, something unexpected happened. The ball flew over the fence and then landed in the compound beside the school. Now, this wasn't the first time a ball had gone into that particular compound, but what the students didn't know was that this one would end very differently. Victor and a few of his friends walked up to the fence, and like many other students had done in the past, he climbed up and sat on top of the school's fence, hoping to politely plead with the compound owner to return the ball so that they could continue with their training. However, what happened next left everyone utterly shocked. The compound where the ball flew into belonged to 64-year-old Donald Mbama, a lawyer who also runs a private school in that same area. According to the school security officer, Victor never jumped into Donald's compound. He was just sitting on top of the fence, still in his school uniform, while politely asking Donald to return the ball. However, instead of responding with understanding, knowing fully well that they were just kids playing around with their football, Mr. Donald reportedly went into his house, returned with a gun, and then in broad daylight, he aimed and pulled the trigger. The children who were watching from below said Victor panicked when he saw the firearm. He quickly turned to climb down from the fence, but it was already too late. Donald fired, not once but twice, at young Victor's buttocks. Victor lost his grip and then collapsed on the ground in agony. Immediately after this, the school compound was filled with the children's screams as they ran both for safety and to also get help for Victor. The school authorities were informed and they quickly rushed to the scene. Victor was taken to a general hospital for immediate treatment, while the incident was also reported to the police. At the hospital, doctors moved fast to assess his condition. An X-ray was done, followed by a scan. The results were shared with the police for further investigation, but despite the early treatment, Victor kept complaining of severe pain. The doctors were also not convinced that the first test results told the full story, so they asked for another round of tests. This time, he was taken to a separate laboratory for further scans, including a chest X-ray. When the results came back, doctors became concerned about possible internal injuries from the fall or the gunshot. By Wednesday, they made the decision to carry out surgery, and during the operation, they discovered a cut in his intestine. His father did everything he could. He paid for every scan and test and also followed the doctor's instructions without hesitation. Still, he was left with more questions than answers. Tragically, despite all the efforts made by the medical team, Victor passed away on Thursday, just 3 days after he was shot. A few hours after the news spread that the 17-year-old had passed away, something very strange happened right inside the school compound. A flock of blackbirds was seen flying within the school, particularly around the football field, where Victor healthily spent most of his last moments alive. In a video recorded that day, one person stood quietly at the gate watching the birds in silence, while another captured the moments on camera. It wasn't clear whether blackbirds were common sights in the area or if this was just a rare occurrence. However, the timing of their presence on the football field raised eyebrows. Some saw it as a mere coincidence, as just birds flying overhead and nothing more, while others believed it meant something deeper. Some people said that it was Victor's spirit crying for justice, hovering over the place where his young life was cut short. Whether it was just nature doing what it does or a message from beyond, no one could truly say for sure. For those who witnessed it, the sight of those birds left an unsettling feeling, like Victor's story hadn't truly ended and something was still unresolved. When the students learned that Victor had passed away, they were overcome with anger and grief. While some expressed their emotions by crying profusely, others took more serious action to register their displeasure. The angry students gathered in groups the next day and then stormed Mr. Donald's private school, where they destroyed as much property as they could lay their hands on. They damaged 2 cars parked within the school premises and also visited his private residence, where they caused serious damage to the building, his car, and his power bike. It took the combined efforts of policemen drafted from 2 different police stations, some DSS personnel, and the local youths in the neighborhood to stop the rampaging students from causing further destruction. The school management also had to direct the students to go home and then resume on Monday. Victor's father, accompanied by some teachers and staff, went straight to the police station to find out what had happened to his son. At the station, a meeting was arranged between him and the man accused of pulling the trigger. The officers wanted Mr. Donald to tell his own side of the story directly to Victor's father. However, the conversation turned out to be very far from straightforward. Mr. Donald was said to have denied everything. He claimed he never fired a weapon and then went on to give a poorly thought out version of what he believed to have happened. According to him, he had only tried to scare the boys. He said he used a polythene bag to make a sound that mimicked a gunshot, and that it was this sound that made Victor fall from the fence. Mr. Donald added that Victor got injured from a stick on the ground and not from a bullet. This ridiculous story didn't add up, not to Victor's father, nor to the other students who had witnessed the shooting. The students gave their own statements at the station, stating clearly that a gun was fired and that it was Mr. Donald who pulled the trigger. They even said that after Victor was hit, the man continued to fire several more rounds into the air. It was also reported that Mr. Donald was always hostile towards the students and staff of the school. Even before this tragic incident, he had been threatening students, teachers, and even the principal of the school. He never releases any ball that went into his compound, no matter how hard you beg him to do so. The wound on Victor's body also told its own story. It was located on his buttocks and the bullet had passed clean through from one side to the other. It was strongly believed that a fall couldn't have caused such an injury. Even in the middle of all this confusion, all the denial, and all the pain, Victor's father didn't scream or fight. He simply told Mr. Donald one thing, and that was for him to pray that his son recovers from the injury. Sadly, what seemed to have been his biggest fear and concern ended up becoming a reality. Paul Victor was just 17 years old when his life was cut short. He was in JSS 1 at Urban Development Secondary School, located at World Bank in Owerri, Imo State, Nigeria. Though older than most of his classmates, Victor didn't start school early due to some undisclosed reasons. However, he never allowed this delay to hold him back. According to his father, Victor was a respectful, intelligent young boy who carried himself with humility and a quiet sense of purpose. One of his greatest passions was football. He didn't just play for fun. He loved the game deeply and even owned a pair of football boots. Victor had dreams, simple, honest dreams. He planned to complete his education and afterward possibly learn a trade, whether it meant continuing in school or picking up a skill. Victor was ready to work for a better future. His case was transferred from the police station to the Homicide Unit of State Criminal Investigation Department on the order of the State Commissioner for Education and other higher authorities. Mr. Donald was still in police custody at the time of making this report. May Victor's soul rest in peace, and we strongly hope that he gets the justice he deserves. Share your thoughts on this case in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more true crime stories. Thanks for watching and stay safe.